The global trade landscape is shifting fast and tensions are rising between some of the world's biggest economies. At the heart of this brewing storm, a trade dispute involving the United States, Germany, and Canada. What started as tariffs on steel, aluminum, and automobiles is now a full-blown economic standoff with major implications for global trade. Will this escalate into a full-scale trade war, or can a diplomatic resolution be reached? Let's break it down. The roots of this conflict trace back to the Trump administration. In an effort to protect American industries, the US slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, arguing it was necessary to strengthen domestic production. But this decision didn't sit well with US allies, especially Germany and Canada. For decades, the global trade system thrived on open markets and interconnected economies. Countries specialized in what they did best, relying on trade agreements to ensure smooth transactions. However, the rise of protectionist policies in recent years has disrupted this balance, with the US taking a particularly aggressive stance. The tariffs on steel and aluminum were not just economic measures, they were also political statements signaling a shift towards a more isolationist approach to trade. Germany, one of Europe's largest steel producers, took an immediate hit. But the bigger problem, the auto industry. When Trump announced a 25% tariff on imported cars, German automakers like BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen faced a major crisis. These companies ship hundreds of thousands of vehicles to the US annually, and higher prices would mean lower sales, potential job losses, and economic pain in Germany. The impact wasn't just limited to manufacturers. Thousands of workers across Germany's industrial sector felt the pressure. The German economy, which had long benefited from its export-driven model, suddenly found itself at risk. With the US being one of its largest trading partners, any disruption in the flow of goods could have significant consequences for economic stability. Canada, America's biggest supplier of steel and aluminum, was also caught in the crossfire. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the tariffs unfair and promised retaliation. Canada had two options: fight alone or team up with other affected nations. Seeing a common struggle, Canada turned to Germany for a joint strategy. In addition to steel and aluminum, the tariffs threatened Canada's broader trade relationship with the US. The two countries have long shared deep economic ties, with millions of jobs on both sides of the border depending on bilateral trade. The sudden imposition of tariffs not only hurt industries but also put diplomatic relations at risk. Speaking of strategy, if you are enjoying this breakdown of global trade conflicts, hit that like button and share this video. Your support helps us reach more viewers. Realizing they had more power together than separately, Germany and Canada began coordinating their responses. Their goal: counteract the US tariffs without escalating the situation into an all-out trade war. But this move didn't sit well with everyone. In the European Union, Germany's proactive stance raised concerns. Trade policy in the EU is usually handled collectively, but Germany's government wanted faster action. Some EU members worried that Germany was prioritizing national interests over European unity. Canada, meanwhile, shifted from surgical retaliation to a broader strategy, aligning itself with Germany and gaining European Commission support. This signaled a potential shift in global trade alliances. The Trump administration had a different game plan, negotiating with countries one by one to weaken their bargaining power. By dealing with allies individually, the US aimed to pressure them into accepting trade terms more favorable to Washington. but Germany and Canada's joint effort threw a wrench into this strategy. As tensions grew, the possibility of a full-scale trade war loomed. Germany and Canada prepared retaliatory measures, and the US threatened additional tariffs under the justification of national security. The world economy is deeply interconnected, and any disruption in trade between these economic giants could have ripple effects worldwide. Higher costs for raw materials could lead to inflation, and disrupted supply chains could hurt industries beyond steel and automobiles. In best case scenario, all sides agree to ease off. The US could scale back auto tariffs, while Germany and Canada paused their retaliatory measures. This would stabilize markets and prevent economic fallout, at least in the short term. If no compromise is reached, both sides could double down. This would mean higher prices for consumers, economic slowdowns, and increased political tensions. A prolonged trade war could disrupt global supply chains and strain diplomatic relations. Another possibility: the conflict drags on, with negotiations stretching over years. Political changes, especially in the US, could influence the outcome. A new administration might take a different approach, potentially leading to a resolution. What do you think? Should Germany and Canada continue to push back, or should they negotiate a settlement? Drop a comment below with your take on this trade dispute. Beyond steel and cars, this trade conflict is about the future of global trade relationships. It's a test of how far countries are willing to go to protect their industries and whether long-standing alliances can survive economic disputes. If Germany and Canada stand firm, they could force the US to reconsider its approach. But if they back down too easily, it might encourage Washington to impose even tougher trade restrictions in the future. The outcome of this showdown will shape trade policies for years to come. Trade wars rarely have winners, only degrees of economic damage. Germany and Canada's response to US tariffs could determine whether this dispute gets resolved or spirals further out of control. As global markets watch closely, the pressure is on for all sides to make the right move. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more deep dives into global economics.